I spent a year as a field volunteer with Peace Brigades International in Barrancabermeja, which is a small provincial city in Magdalena Medio region of Colombia. My work there, I was part of a field team of 6 volunteers, and our role there was to provide protective accompaniment for local human rights organisations. So we accompanied human rights lawyers to their cases, to their trials, and we accompanied rural worker organisations with the work that they were carrying out in communities. And the Magdalena Medio region of Colombia has historically been a region with a lot of social conflict. There's an ongoing war that's been going on for more than 40 years between different armed actors, and the civilian population has been very much caught up in the middle of that. There's been a number of massacres, extrajudicial killings, a lot of forced displacement, communities living in a permanently vulnerable state. The people that PBI works with, the human rights defenders themselves, have also been subject to a lot of harassment, threats, attempts to sort of stigmatise their work and criminalise their work. As an outsider, working with people who defend human rights can provoke all manner of emotions, a great degree of frustration, especially you get a very clear sense of injustice. One of the organisations that we were accompanying, a rural farmers organisation, many of their leaders had been put in jail for more than a year, up to 2 years, and at the end of this process they were let out without any charge, declared completely innocent. Many of the witnesses that were used against them proved to be unreliable. So you get this real feeling of injustice because the fact that they've been detained, it stopped them doing their work, it stopped them accessing the communities that depend on them for representation, for access to justice. So that part of the work can be really frustrating, but on the other side, it can be very inspirational. One of the leaders who was in jail, I had the good fortune to both accompany his exit from jail back into his community, and to see him without barely stopping to breathe in between get straight back into his work. And it was incredible to see the commitment and desire and enthusiasm for him to get straight back in there. Accompanying human rights defenders is important because as an international observer, we're really giving a solid solidarity and backing to the work that they're doing. And as we've said many times, their rights are not respected. They're subject to all manner of human rights violations by different actors, which the ultimate aim of those actions is to stop them doing their work. And we look at what their work is. It's fundamentally important to any society, any democracy. They're looking to help victims of massacres, of forced disappearance, of displacement, have access to justice, have closure to family members who've been murdered, to have reparations for acts of displacement that have been carried out against them and their communities. So they're a fundamental part of building a stronger, more stable, more equal society, and it's important that not only they receive accompaniment from NGOs like Peace Brigades, but also that they receive the attention of the international community in general. I was accompanying one of the leaders of a women's organisation that we worked with. It was a routine human rights workshop that she was carrying out, when all of a sudden she received a phone call from her head office saying that a leader of another organisation, an organisation of small-scale miners, had been murdered on his motorbike while leaving the local town. He'd been gunned down by masked gunmen outside of the town's boundaries, and the leader of the women's organisation was asked to go and accompany the wife of the murdered man and her children while she went to file the complaint, while she was arranging the funeral details, all of these horrible things that one wouldn't even want to consider having to do if you've just had your husband murdered. And and it was extremely moving experience, but it just underlined the importance of having that work, of having someone to fall back on and to help you go through these processes when a violation like that has occurred. I think that people in the UK should care about the situation in Colombia because as a country we have historical connection with Colombia. We benefit from trade relations with Colombia, we benefit from diplomatic relations, economic relations with Colombia, tourism. There's a strong bond between the two countries, and morally it makes sense that we should also care about human rights violations that are going on in Colombia.